Hello, Belgium. So we have a very lovely autumn here. So it's such a shame that you cannot witness it yourself. It's very golden and sunny up until today. We will try to inspire you only by a couple of photos. So let's see how that works. I am Kristiina Tallisainen from Visit Estonia, or Estonian Tourist Board, in other words. And we have 22 companies and tourism destinations partners with us from Estonia. You will be meeting some of the companies also later, and also some destinations we will go over in our presentation. And in the last slides, there is a description about the raffle prizes, which we will give out, one together with flights and one package without flights. And also for the brave ones who stay also for the meetings, we also raffle 2 hotel nights in Swiss Hotel, a lovely central hotel with a really upscale standard. So I hope that it motivates you a little bit to stay longer with us. I'm going now to the content, and I'm afraid I cannot go past this COVID travel update. As Belgium considers Estonia for being in the orange zone for safety, meaning that you could come to us. So our government has decided otherwise. But I'm sure that this thing will end soon, and it's actually the whole presentation and the meetings today, they are still meant for the brighter future, so that you can start planning and perhaps dreaming a little bit or what you can do about Destination Estonia. Our Foreign Ministry updates each Friday the list of countries and their situations and how they are treated on the borders at arrival here. And I would say that it's really actually safe in Estonia, especially when we compare to the rest of the world. And our medical care is at a good standard. Public events are still taking place, and the COVID testing are possible to do already pre-booked in the airports. But this is something for the ones who really want to arrive now. But if we are talking about the nearest future, then I hope it will be much rosier. And I dropped also a couple of links under the slide here in the notes for you to check the situation updates from Visit Estonia and from our Foreign Ministry.
Oh, Matthias is there as well.
So what Estonia and we Estonians are all about? We are a digital society, a very small nation of only 1.3 million. We master our own language called Estonian, and it is only a bit bigger than the Netherlands. So meaning that we have such a few people living here, we have a lot of space for ourselves. And to explain on the background, Estonians are, like most of Nordic people, a bit reserved. So they're like their space, actually. So about the connections, we do have quite a short trip from Brussels to Tallinn. And there are 2 airlines flying at this moment. And the connections, of course, will be more frequent soon. But still, after European connections, we have flight connections from Tallinn Airport also to our islands, and the 2 biggest ones of them, at least. And it's such a pity that this cozy airport that we have in Tallinn, our hub, is so little used at this moment because of traveling being on hold. But I'm sure that this will change very in the nearest future also. And our good partner Air Baltic has kindly enough put out 2 return tickets from Brussels to Tallinn as a prize. So I'm hoping some of you will be enjoying that. But Air Baltic, although they have a hub in Riga, they still operate direct flights from Tallinn too. So to Brussels 3 times in a week, and they are represented by Aviareps in the Benelux countries. So in 2019, it was a record year for Estonia in tourism. We only had a bit over 13,000 Belgians arriving to Estonia. So the number could be bigger, of course. So that is why when you listen in today and perhaps recommend us to your clients afterwards, it could be taken as a secret tip because the neighbor probably hasn't been to Estonia yet. So it's a good argument to arrive here. And you see here a little map with those dots on it, what I will be covering today in the presentation. And generally speaking, on the west side there is mainly islands, and we are going a bit deeper into South Estonia also during this presentation. There are some things that you might not expect from Estonia, so I don't want to spoil the surprise for you or anything, but there are some things that perhaps that I should mention in advance. There are quite many things to do and experience, so we even have an extra season for it. It's called the 5th season, but the jokes aside, it's usually seen in Soomaa National Park. It's basically when the snow melts and you can take your canoe or a boat and drive through forest, basically. You can also drive a car on the frozen water, which in translation means ice roads, and it's an official way of connecting mainland with the islands. And when the sea has been frozen enough time, then the government allows this type of traveling. Speaking of traveling, you also can travel through time, especially in Tallinn, when you can hop from the ultra-modern to ancient, from urban to wild, and from medieval to Soviet and back again. Also, in Seto culture, they have a very big jewelry style that you can put on your chest, which you can also try on during your trip in the south of Estonia. This is quite a thing that usually you don't expect from your jewelry. And for those of you who really like their sunsets, they are really never ending in the end of June. So during the midsummer festivities, and you can take quite a lot of out of 24 hours a day. Estonians, I mentioned that we are a digital nation, but we still are really keen on our nature, and we do believe that it can even be a bit of our religion. And we usually go to solve our problems in the nature, to soothe it all off, to let it go, be born again, and things like that. It's very natural to Estonians, and we have, of course, really great national parks to do that. And it is a long-standing tradition before Christianity, even when people really turn to nature for the greater plan. And a good example of national parks is Soomaa National Park. Here we can see on the photo the 5th season type of traveling, and you can tour around in spring on various water-related, well, so to say, vehicles. There is a landscape that we also take quite pride in Estonia. Almost every Estonian has their favorite walk landscape. They can name a place where they usually go with families or whatsoever. I do recommend any season because it's beautiful and changing colors, and it's very surreal to take the walk shoes and bounce on the landscape there. And go through the areas that you on foot couldn't. So it's possible to make, of course, picnics by the lake, and for the brave ones, also swimming in those lakes are really recommendable. It's really good for the hair and skin. Yeah, and although Estonia is really a great place for the hikers, you don't really need special equipment to do that, unless you plan to hike the whole day or the whole weekend, of course. But if you just hop from your city break to a walk trail, it's wooden, covered with wooden pathways like you see on the photo. It's basically possible to do that in your city sneakers, and test the freshest air in the world, as they claim. And you can choose a coastal pathway or an hiking trail through the forest. It's a big choice, and many kilometers to cover and easy to find. One very exclusive experience that you will certainly not forget when you go through that is bear watching, and you not only get really great Instagram photos, but it's really an exhilarating experience not to see only the bear, but also perhaps the bigger animals. And it's not only waiting and yawning, it does need patience, but when you see those big guys really close up, it's a great feeling, and it's best done in May and September. And we do have a couple of service providers here with us today who could walk you through this service in more specific details. And to come back to the roots that Estonians are, we are not only nature people, but also very keen theater goers, and we cherish our cultural heritage daily. There's a big cultural offering in the forms of many festivals and pop-up cafe days and different things like that, but also there is the traditional clothing wearing is very dear to our hearts, and I could name many things that you could do in addition in Estonia to do with culture. And for example, there is just a special dance festival for men. There is also a jazz festival on a very with very long traditions called Jazzcar. There is a film festival for the film lovers. It's also world class already and features very interesting program. But our staple, of course, is the song and dance celebration or song festival that we celebrate every 5 years, where thousands of singers come together as a choir on that in that area. And if you check out the next event and get your tickets, and even if you don't really understand the language, this feeling will certainly give you goosebumps when listening to it, because it is to be tuned in with the nation and the history of singing themselves free, as you perhaps heard from before. And this traditional slide is about accommodation possibilities, but also a wide choice of tours and workshops and museums. There are castles and manors for different budgets, from the basic to the very luxurious. So if you want to combine your wining and dining with a bit of a history, and it's a great opportunity to do that in a usually very beautiful nature scenery around those places. And even 3 manor houses already are located in Lahemaa National Park, meaning that you can combine a nature tour with a bit of a manor living. Kihnu Island is an interesting place for the cultural interests. It's 600 years old traditions there, and UNESCO has also recognized them. They wear their national clothes daily, and there's even a saying that they have different colors in their skirts for different moods. But for example, when a woman wears an apron, she is married, and when she doesn't, she's not. And to witness how they drive in those vehicles, you can even do that in a day trip from one little resort down Pärnu I speak about later also. This photo here is taken by a world famous photographer, Jimmy Nelson, who has documented a lot of ethnic groups all over the world. There was also an exhibition in Tallinn recently with his works, but he shows here the Seto culture, which also UNESCO has listed. And the jewelry I was talking about earlier is shown here on the chests of a couple of women. Of course, the elder ones with a bigger portion of it, and the younger ones smaller. And they really unite 2 worlds among them. So their singing tradition is something to really go and see during their kingdom days, or well, they have their own little kingdom in south of Estonia. And of course, they have other traditions too that they even put a bit on display for themselves. Smoke sauna is also very famous thing to do in that area in south of Estonia. It is a very rejuvenating experience. The aromas, the rituals, the whisking that you can do there, and you come out really refreshed. And when it's all done right, and it's even called a bit of a networking place for Estonians, the sauna. But of course, we don't only feature small ethnic groups and bush and trees in Estonia. There is also something for the urban lovers of you. So we have, I take you through a couple of small towns that could also be interesting for you. And cultural offering in Tartu, for example, is really something to make notes of. They've been chosen to Capital of Culture for 2024. It is a long tradition university town with a very vibrant student and young people's vibe on their streets. Many interestingly named student hangouts, not only in the old town, but also their Bohemian Karlova and Soup Town areas. And graffiti is even done well, by the local authorities. It's allowed. It is a city with really green mindset and sustainable living. So you will certainly feel really welcome and great in Tartu. It is a 2-hour drive, a bit more. About the Peipsi and Onion route are actually on the same path. They're all at the lakeside, so it's a great place for to see colorful traditional cottages and home-cooked dinners that have a lot of lake fish in it, and they are also really doing their pastries well. And Onion Route is an area where they combine 30 service providers together. They're all really ready to serve you with the different pop-up cafes and tours and things like that. So food tours is one good option to do there. It is only a 30-minute drive from Tartu, and something for the simple life lovers on the crossroads of 3 cultures. But also for winter, there is something interesting on offer. You can take kick sledges on the lake, or the special car is called karakatitsas, which you also can drive around on the lake, or go ice fishing with an instructor who helps you to make a soup out of the same fish afterwards. And I do have also a question regarding this, this slide. So when somebody who reacts quickly and answers that, Onion Route is kind enough to send out one little prize by post. So the question is whether Onion Route is located in south, west, east, or north of Estonia. So the one who puts the answer in the chat can get the little prize from the area. But also traveling is all about great escapes. So even though Estonia is really small, when you want to escape and get to a very different scenery than island life, it's certainly a place to do that. And we have a total of 2,000 islands or even more for you to check out. And the biggest one is Saaremaa Island. It's really great for stress busting, and it's wellness hotels in Kuressaare, the capital, are really recommendable. They host concerts and festivals in summertime. In Estonia, they're really famous for homebrewed beer and smoked fish for you to try out. And they again have a really great castle for you to walk around and dive into history a bit. Muhu Island is on the way of from when you drive to Saaremaa to sorry, there is an interruption. Sorry, there are some interruptions. Muhu Island is on the way to Saaremaa. So when you drive, take a ferry from the mainland to Muhu Island, you cross it and then you go to Saaremaa. But it's a destination on its own as well. There are really great guided tours to be taken, small fishermen villages that are really well preserved, museums and colorful embroidery, but also lovely seasonal restaurants. And this is an island where also, as well as Saaremaa and Muhumaa, they both are loved by also locals who have their summer houses and relatives and other reasons to go there also in summer. And why don't you do those tours on the horseback? Just an idea. Saaremaa and Muhumaa have in total 9 White Guide listed restaurants, and they can offer you a great taste of the island life. And Muhu Island has also a Padaste Manor, which is a luxury island, a luxurious manor house, and again with really great restaurants and exclusive private tours. It's down to earth luxury for just a bit of a country life exclusivity. This slide I won't stop much on because you will get the slides afterwards also, but in near Tallinn there are also several islands to explore, and they are done quite easily and for different reasons, either with kayaks or for seal watching and so on. One nice unexpected thing that Estonia could offer you is the culinary experience of the fusion and mixture that our history has created. And I don't think that you really knew that you can really eat well in Estonia. And we had influences from Germany, from Russia, and this new wave of young chefs. They are really passionate about creating those recipes for you that take the granny's traditions, but giving them a new twist. Many of them have their own bread recipes, and they bring it to you really hot on the table right from the oven. Also in the, not only in Tallinn, but also countryside has a lot of great seasonal restaurants that are open for summer. And Estonia in itself is really organic in nature, and it's really easy to use local produce for your eating out. So the chances are that when you sit down and sit down for a dinner, then you will get really great seasonal food that is from the local farmers. One good example of gastronomy farm restaurants is here Ööviku. It's a 50-minute drive from Tallinn, and host is your chef or vice versa. And one thing to be really proud of is the chef's tables in several restaurants, the really high-end dining experience that Estonia could offer you these days. We've been taking into the league to play with the big boys because the Bocuse d'Or has decided to make their cooking Olympics, so to say, their next semi-finals in Estonia, and that is a big acknowledgement for our food scene. And I would say that tasting the different things in Estonia would make a good reason to stay longer. And naturally, I can't get over our capital city, but instead of covering the old town, which you probably, once you arrive, will see anyway. It's really great and medieval and alive, but I thought to take you to a tour in some other areas as well, just to show how diverse Tallinn can be. So one of those places is Telliskivi Creative City, 10 minutes by tram or walking from the old town. It is made from really industrial environments, but great for street food and craft beer and speakeasies. It has a gin distillery there at a really high standards to tour in and so on. And their main attraction, though, is in the middle of Telliskivi. It's called Fotografiska Photo Gallery, hosting really great international world-class photo exhibitions that also the locals like to frequent. The summer hotspots of 2020 has been Noblessner area, It's quite new surrounding. It used to be factories for different shipbuildings, but now it has several eateries, including a really great 180 degrees Michelin star chef owned restaurants, and an art center, seaplane harbor, and protein manufacturing for the families. And you can even access it by your own boat, as a matter of fact. But the terraces were really loved by the locals in summer. But there's also a Baroque side to Tallinn called Kadriorg Palace, founded by Peter the Great for his wife. And it's a beautiful example, not only in Tallinn, but also in the rest of North Europe. It's great for jogging and making yoga, if you like to include that in your trip, but as well just for a walk and visiting a bundle of art museums. The most famous is Kumu, that is architecturally also acknowledged and really worth to visit. And the park itself is huge, and it's right at the edge of a seaside promenade that has been renewed really recently. But to round it all off, there are some news that I'm really happy about. Some developments, despite all the lockdowns and meltdowns during COVID, there are still some new openings and some new things going on in the tourism side of Estonia. 3 castles actually have opened brand new museums attached to their historical buildings. So also featured here on the photo is Rakvere Vallimäe that can offer with its open air center also concerts and other entertainment. And for example, in Hiiumaa Island, there is a new experience center called Tuuletorn, and Tartu has been chosen a capital of some sort. And Tallinn has not only new hotel openings, but also a Fat Margaret Visitor Center, a maritime museum that you will be able to meet also in those one-on-ones. And to just round it all off again with a couple of things that might happen with you or on your first trip to Estonia. As we are really an unknown destination for you, I'm sure you'll have to explain a little before you're going to friends and family when they ask. But I'm sure that when you show the photos, it's still something they would like to visit themselves. And we speak the language that is really difficult, as I mentioned before. But just teaching you with the help of locals one word that you can use on your trip, it's terviseks, which means chin chin when you raise your glasses. And nature is so close by all the time that it will certainly call to you. In any of the towns you are at, the nearest boulevard forest or a hiking trail is just 30 minutes away. So combined with your city break without any time tension. And you all probably have heard the saying that there is no bad weather, there is only improper clothing. It is very true in Estonia too. Bring some waterproof stuff with you as well, although we have lots of sunny days also, but still when the thunderstorm hits or sometimes the first snowflakes start to fall, then you'll be happy to bring that along. And, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. It's 2 to 10, 2 minutes to go maximum, because then it's time for the one-to-one meetings. Sorry.
Right. Here are the partner destinations that really listened in during the presentation, and I would be happy to meet you. Under the slide, there are the contact details for you to write if some region really sounded more appealing to you and to go into the details. So these people happily await your calls and emails. And I've described the prices, as I mentioned before. And just to point out, the very last thing is that if you are interested in a family trip, just let us know, write to me or fill in an application that I put under the slide here. And if it's any way possible, we would really be happy to host you in the nearest future. So thank you for listening.